Are you satisfied with the Doha process? You were part of it at one point, but now women are no longer part of the negotiations.
Well, the Doha process that we had been part of it was to agree on a political settlement that the Taliban will be one part of the whole political settlement. But sadly, the way it was arranged and managed, especially with involvement of the U.S. Special Envoy on the peace process, Khalilzad, I think that led to complete collapse of a government that we invested blood, treasure, and time over the past 20 years. So I think that process is no longer there. However, I think any sort of engagement, be it in the format of the current Doha process, which only 2 days ago there was a meeting of the one of the committees or the working group of counter narcotics in Kabul. Any kind of those engagements should not normalize what's happening in Afghanistan, because by normalizing we actually embolden these kind of actions. There should be a culture of accountability, something that your late mother has fought for it relentlessly. We need to end the culture of impunity and hold those accountable for perpetrators of human rights.
Yes.
And today, what happens in Afghanistan could go anywhere if we don't hold the Taliban accountable.
Yes, hold that thought because that's an important question that I have. But Richard Bennett, what about the ongoing atrocities? The international community and the United Nations has failed to address those.
Well, I agree with Fawzia Kofi that there needs to be stronger accountability. And there have been some steps taken towards accountability. For example, the International Criminal Court has issued arrest warrants for 2 top Taliban leaders for the crime against humanity of gender persecution, and that is a first. So that's something. And those arrest warrants are out there, and if they step into a country that has ratified the Rome Statute, those people will be arrested and tried. But there needs to be much more. There's no domestic accountability, and I don't think we can really expect it. There has been established a new investigation mechanism by the Human Rights Council just a few months ago. It's similar to one in Myanmar and another one in Syria. Those are the only 3 countries now, so there will be something more, but it does take time. I want to see it go farther and to be more powerful. Member states could do more to hold the Taliban accountable, not only through gender apartheid, as you mentioned, but they could exercise universal jurisdiction.
Can you explain a little bit more?
Well, universal jurisdiction is where some countries have laws that enable them to prosecute international crimes, even if they're committed in a different country. And it's happened in other cases, in other country situations. It could happen also in Afghanistan. So we would look at those countries who are standing up for human rights and say they're standing up for accountability to do more. On gender crimes, for sure. But there are many other crimes being committed, including, as I mentioned, killings and disappearances. There's also discrimination against minorities, particularly ethnic and religious minorities in Afghanistan, and also against gender diverse people.
Right. When you said that member states can do more, what more do you think Pakistan can do as a neighboring country to hold the Taliban accountable to the atrocities they've committed, especially against women?
I think they could do more within the community of Islamic countries. Pakistan, I know, likes to see itself as one of the leaders, for example, of the OIC, the Organization of Islamic Conference. I would like to see those countries get together and challenge the Taliban's version of how to govern an Islamic state more strongly. Yes, we've seen a few condemnations, especially about girls' education, but it has not gone much beyond girls' education, and it has been this kind of normalization. inviting Taliban to meetings, doing business with them, maybe not formal recognition, but certainly creeping normalization.
So, what you say is that we shouldn't be engaging with the illegal Afghan government at the moment.
I don't say that completely. I say any engagement should be principled engagement. And by principled, I mean according to the principles of international law, and we're in a conference about the law here at the moment. And so concerns about human rights should be raised. I believe the international community should have a set of human rights benchmarks, a human rights roadmap for engagement with the Taliban, and make engagement contingent on progress towards agreed human rights benchmarks.
Right. But unfortunately, that's not happening right now. And more countries seem to be wanting to engage with the Taliban. And these are regional powers like Russia, Pakistan. Do you see hope, Fawzia Kufi?
I do. I'm more hopeful now for a positive change in Afghanistan than I was before. And the reason is the Taliban's themselves. The Taliban are continuously, trying to distance themselves from Afghanistan, the people of Afghanistan. There is more division today than it was before. They are in rivalries and war with the countries in the region. And I understand some of the countries, especially from Central Asia, immediate neighbors of Afghanistan, or far neighbors like India or China or Russia. At some point, even Pakistan. They were very hopeful about the Taliban return to power, and they thought that will change their influence. But now we see that it has not been the case. So I hope it's a lessons learned for these countries who believe that only engaging with Taliban and engaging without any principle, not using their force to pressure the Taliban, will lead to some sort of kind of anonymous influence of these countries in Afghanistan. This is wrong. I think the countries who are investing right now in Afghanistan, not humanitarian aid, but investing by capital, by money, to engage with Taliban for their security. It's a wrong narrative. The more you empower Taliban, the more you're emboldening these radicalized groups in your countries. So I'm hoping that they will bound to international rules and orders because these rules are there to protect all of us.
Right. And my last question to you, Richard Bennett. It seems to me that they've not allowed you access to, from what I've read, they've not allowed you access to Afghanistan. Is that correct?
They did for a time.
They did.
I was allowed to go on 3 visits, and to be fair, I was not restricted when I went. But after I made several reports, and I've now made 11 reports, my 12th one coming up.
Recently they haven't.
They objected to my reports, and they are no longer welcoming me to visit.
They're no longer welcoming you in Afghanistan. So when you did have an opportunity to engage with the Taliban, did you find any hope? Do you see any hope? And how was it like to engage with them? Were they willing to give away on certain, they would give some fundamental rights to women in Afghanistan?
I think that I saw the possibility of having conversations with them. And certainly one of the things I noted when I went around the country was that they were on message. They had a script. They did not, when I met with them, deny human rights completely, which I've seen them do publicly more recently. And they were willing to have conversations, but everything is within the context of Islamic Sharia and Afghan culture. So it's not seen that human rights are somehow universal and to be respected unless they are compatible, consistent with what they already want to do. So possible to have a conversation, to get policy change, I haven't seen very much of that.
And just as a last point, I think the OIC have an important role to play.
Yes.
Because what Taliban do, and especially they do it under the pretext of Islam, is actually creating more Islamophobia. Because how can you deny women from education, saying it's against Islam to get education? Or women's right to work, while Hazrat Khadija was the first woman to work in Islam, right? So I think the Muslim countries should really meaningfully pressurize Taliban.
Well, thank you both for giving me your precious time. I know this is a busy weekend for both of you. Thank you so much for giving me time. नाजरीन, इधर जो एक डिमांड या एक समझ में आती है, जो रिचर्ड बेनेट भी कह रहे हैं और फौजिया कूफी भी कह रही है, कि कम से कम आपके पास एक मिनिमम एजेंडा होना चाहिए बुनियादी इंसानी हकूक का, जिसके ऊपर तालिबान को पूरा उतरना चाहिए, और उसकी बेसिस के ऊपर वो कहते हैं कि बाकी ममालिक को उनके साथ इंगेजमेंट रखनी चाहिए, चाहे वो OIC के ममालिक हो या कोई मेंबर स्टेट्स हो अक़वाम मुत्तहिदा के।